One of the other sort of broad areas of the game that I'm really excited about that Design explored was looking when they could take a step back and look at the strategy layer from Enemy Unknown. It was a great strategy layer. I thought it was designed really, really well. But there were some go-to strategies that a lot of people talked about where Design wanted to make it feel a little more open-ended in XCOM 2. And Mark and the designers did a fantastic job of that on the Geoscape, which you can talk a little bit more, just how dynamic you made it, how it's more open-ended. You're not just going to a Geoscape anymore and pressing scan time, which I love.
Yeah, there were these kind of optimal strategies in EU where you built satellites and got engineers, and we really wanted to shake that up by making it a much more varied experience. And at any point in the campaign, there could be an optimal thing to do, but there could be multiple things to do that are both equally valid, and that will change moment to moment in that same campaign and from campaign to campaign. So a lot of effort went into making the experience much more dynamic and letting players kind of have their own experience that feels very different and could potentially.
Yeah, we had a lot of emergent stories on the tactical layer for Enemy Unknown, where there would be those water cooler moments where people would say, "This happened to me, and I lost my brother-in-law to this and that." I think in a way the strategy layer now will have more of those emergent stories where you decide how you want to go down the path, when you want to tackle the story, what tech you wanted to go after, how you wanted to build out your base, where you wanted to grow the regions on the Geoscape. It's just all these different vectors that did not exist at all on Enemy Unknown. That is really, really exciting. And one of the other broad things that changed on the content side of the game, we have a new rendering pipeline. It's now physically based rendering. And when you look at screenshots and the look of the game from Enemy Unknown and compare it to XCOM 2, the artists did an absolutely fantastic job of leveling up the look of this game. There's now lighting that can change, and lighting that will change based on destruction. The quality of the character models, it's night and day, and you get even more up close personal with them with the cinematic cameras and the types of abilities that they can do to you. So that really is another area that, on the design front, we talked about a lot of things, but the artists as well said, this is what we want to do to inject some major, major improvements and love into XCOM 2. Well, I mean, there's certain things with Enemy Within that we've certainly gotten questions on, mechs, gene mods, counterintelligence on the strategy layer, things like that. But, the lore for XCOM 2 is that this is almost a clean slate from an early point in Enemy Unknown, where you did not advance technologically far at all because you got overwhelmed. XCOM had to scatter and go underground, and the aliens took over the world. So that made a lot of sense for design to say, let's sort of start with a clean slate and pretend those things didn't happen. And I think it opened up some other areas for you guys to do some fresh ideas.
There was stuff like that. I think obviously thematically it didn't really fit to kind of get these super mechs and stuff when you're this small guerrilla resistance movement. But we kind of hedge on that a bit because you have these heavy armors that you get these big weapons, and your guy is kind of a big dude. I think Interception's also a great example of thematically it didn't really fit in XCOM 2 where you're shooting down UFOs. Like, why would they have UFOs if they control the world? They do get UFOs eventually in XCOM 2, but kind of to chase down your moving base. But that was another thing where, like, thematically it didn't fit, and we didn't want to work it in if it didn't kind of fit with the whole theme of the game.
The modding kit, we are very excited about the SDK. We are going to unleash a lot to the community, but it certainly will require some know-how. You're going to have the Unreal Editor. If you have some skills with that, if you're an artist, you can import models, you can change materials. You're going to have a bunch of our assets to modify and things like that. But you certainly need to have some know-how with how to work with the editor and how to work with art assets.
Yeah, I would say you need there's definitely small changes you can make without having to have some kind of great code knowledge, but definitely for like total conversion type stuff or adding content and stuff, you should have a little bit of Unreal knowledge to get that done. But in general, it looks very much like how you expect the Unreal editor to work, because we work with Unreal, so and it's mostly an Unreal script, so if you're doing code changes, it's going to be in an Unreal script. So.
But that's true, though. Some partial modifications, to your point, you can just point to certain areas to tweak numbers and things like that, and that should be pretty straightforward.
That stuff is very easy, so I'm excited to see what people, because we should be able to see stuff very quickly, because that stuff's very easy to understand.
this was just one of those overall things where when you're playing the build, things are coming along, and collectively, you talk about it with the publisher, and you say, we want this game to be as good as possible. We want to put this amount of, we want to do this amount of extra things to polish it up, to make the systems better. And collectively, there was work that we knew had to be done so the fans would get the most out of the game. So that's why the decision was made to move it back a few months. The way that we think about this is that this is a timeline where XCOM lost in Enemy Unknown. And of course, it doesn't take away any of the victories that actually happened. We all feel that. But there's very, very real worlds where XCOM lost. A lot of our players did lose the game, which we actually came around to embracing. We thought that was a very cool thing. And because what we love about video games the most, that they're interactive, we're making a world that sort of reflects the reality of what a lot of people played. And that, when we sort of joked about that in jest up front, we dug into it more, and we said this could be a really compelling stage for the sequel, and we wanted this to become canon with respect to the sequel, that XCOM did lose. It allowed design to then say, you're behind the 8 ball even more. Here's what we can do. And then going forward, we don't know yet. We'll have to see how players like this game, but this is our timeline for what happened to XCOM. Firaxis is a PC-driven studio. When we looked at what we wanted to do, the scope of this game grew big time. We looked at what everyone would need to own feature-wise, and then some of the high-level features as well. When you look at modding, it sort of clicked for us, and we said, we need to make this a PC game. This is what we do. This is what where Firaxis' pedigree lies, and with the modding, it just made a lot of sense. So. We love consoles. We definitely do, but we're focused on PC. We're super excited to get this in your hands. The team, everyone back at Firaxis has really been working hard. So hope it pays off and that you guys love the game.
Yeah, I can't wait for everyone to play it. It's really rewarding to see people get hands on something that you helped create. So I really want you guys to go out there and play it. So.
And it's true, you guys did help create this. I mean, this is one of those things we talked about it being an underdog genre. Thank you for all the support you've given. To have a big publisher like 2K support this, a major reason for that is the love that you guys give this game. So thank you very much.
Thank you.